Today I'm going to share a message from Serapis Bey about the process of awakening, what it means to ascend, and how we can find meaning and purpose in our own unique journey. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Serapis Bey is considered to be one of the original Ascended Masters. He's had many lifetimes as an Egyptian and in Atlantis as a high priest. He is considered a master of the ascension process, so he is definitely a good guide to call on if we are needing help walking the ascension path or needing help learning how to embody our light and shine our light even brighter. If you are interested in learning more about Serapis Bey, who he is, what his role on earth is at this time, and how to practice connecting to his energy and channeling him, please check out my channeling practice video, week 10 of 33 Masters, which I will leave a link to in the descriptions box below so that you can practice along sensing his energy. Okay, so I have already called him in and felt him step forward. I'm going to invite him now to expand his energy again so that I can tune into his frequency. And then I'm just going to ask him what he would like to share about the ascension process, the stages of awakening, and how we can best navigate these and find meaning in this process for ourselves. And where would you like to start with all of that, Serapis Bey? And he's highlighting the word ascension. So he's wanting to talk about what it means to ascend and what that process is and looks like and feels like. So he's going on to say, ascension is a process whereby we as humans learn how to embody the higher or highest light and capacity that we were created on at a soul level, at a spiritual level. So it's a physical embodiment of our spiritual selves, what we know as our higher selves or our Christ consciousness, our Christ-like selves, essentially is what we are aiming to embody and bring forward into the physical dimension. So it's a process of integration, he's saying, of multidimensional aspects of ourselves, aspects that have been sort of cut off from source. He's saying these aspects are buried deep within our consciousness, our unconsciousness, deep within. He's showing there is secret knowledge, secret access to all that is, to all that ever was, to all that we have ever known and ever will be. So in this sense, he's showing past, present, future, all levels of time are included or inclusive in this understanding of who we are and who we came to be. All of this knowledge is held within. And so he's referring to the process of ascension and kind of also showing it as also being the process of awakening is essentially the same thing, is awakening to our higher selves, awakening to our higher purpose, and awakening to this higher ancient knowledge that we carry within our DNA, within our construct, within our manifestation of who we are. It's just a matter of gaining access to that information and being able to download that information in a way that serves us. So the feeling is like it's not a process that happens overnight, he's saying, or stressing. He's showing that this is a process that happens incrementally because it's a download. It's like receiving a new programming or upgrades to the operating system. So when we are born in a certain historical period of time, in a certain life cycle or planetary cycle, he's showing, we are born within that period or point of reference in that period of space and time, which is elusive in a sense because linear time doesn't fully exist, but we have chosen to create or a simulation of a world where it does exist so that we can experience through a linear process our growth and evolution. So it's a very slower process. It doesn't happen in an instant. The downgrades and the upgrades, it's almost like a software system, what he's showing, like a computer where you would have a software and then you would occasionally need to upgrade it. So as you're upgrading it, there's a download a time. There's a time for downloading that information, and then there's a time for processing and integrating that information. That is essentially what the stages of awakening are. It's learning how to tune our frequency to match the higher processing speeds of awareness that is available, always available to us, but is limited in its ability to shine through us or be embodied through us in our physical system and physical vessel because of the restriction of energy flow that occurs when one is in a state of a more denser state of matter, in a more physical, existing in a more physical realm. If we had a light body, these information would come faster and be in an instant almost at times, but because of the physical vessel, because energy must travel through all of the physical realm and the physical vessel, there's a need to create a better flow in the system or a less restrictions in the flow of energy so that that energy can be downloaded and processed easier. So he's also talking about the second aspect to what we call ascension is the light codes that are coming forward on our planet at this time. So we have essentially, how I'm understanding him to show this and to sort of recap, because this is coming in a bit fast and I want to explain it clearly, is that at any given historical time of our birth, at any given moment when we choose to be born at a certain moment in time, we are born into what the frequency of the planet is, or the collective, where the frequency of that collective energy is, and we have made a contract by agreeing to be born at that time to inherit that collective energy, so to speak. So our bodies and our minds and our frequency is essentially put into this world that is very limited compared to what the higher dimensions and higher dimensional realms are like. So we are in a third dimensional realm, which is very, very dense, considered to other realms that exist on higher dimensional planes. So to understand that concept, then the second aspect is, in this specific time period that we have been born, is a time of ascension. So if you look at the planetary cycles and where the cycles of time are in this dimension at this particular point of existence, you're referring back to like the Mayan calendars. We're moving into a cycle of ascension versus a cycle of descension. So there's different planetary cycles and galactic cycles, I guess you could say, where at this time in our cycle, we are transitioning from a lower place of density into a higher place or a higher vibrational energetic experience. So that would be what we would call ascension, when we are now moving from a denser plane to a less dense plane of existence. And so we're really in a transition period right now. And through this period, we are, because this is where we are at, we are getting downloads, more and more downloads, an increasing amount of downloads. And this is something that we sometimes refer to in the spiritual community as ascension waves. So there are an increase of solar flares, and these solar flares bring with them galactic codes or light codes that help our bodies or give our bodies the signal, he's showing, to switch on more light, or to turn on more light, or to transition or transform into a lighter expression. And we're talking about energy and frequency here. So this is the process of ascension, and essentially what it means. I feel like it could get really technical for me to explain it too much more, and I might be losing where he wants to go with it. But I'm just going to tune back into him now and let him sort of pick up where he wants to on that. He's just saying, yes, agreed. It is difficult in the terms to understand sometimes, or to explain in those terms, because it can get technical from a scientific perspective if you're talking about energy and codes. But the general message and meaning is for us to just understand that we're moving into a higher vibrational state of being and consciousness, a higher state of awareness, where we are more tuned to our higher awareness, is what he's saying. Our multidimensional perspective of life. We are essentially shifting out of a limited perspective of who we are, and how we came to be, and how we are connected to each other, to a higher state, which is a more multidimensional perspective of who we are, that we are not limited in time and space, that we are not limited by physical matter, that we are an extension of source energy. And because we are an extension of source energy, we have the ability to tap into all aspects of the divine that are within us, but that we may perceive as being outside of us. So it's learning how to, essentially he's saying, channel the divine energy and the divine flow of energy into our physical vessel, and learning how to then also perceive, sense, and pick up on clearly the messages that we are able to receive from higher dimensions. So part of this is the light codes that we're receiving, and that are helping us to activate and turn these switches of, he's calling it memory, on, cellular memory, so that our cells are remembering, our body is remembering, all parts of ourselves on a mental, emotional, and physical level are essentially going through a process of remembering who we are as divine beings of love and light. So I'd like him to focus more in on now the stages of awakening, and what or how we can find meaning as we learn how to navigate through these stages, if he has anything to share on that topic. He's saying, yes, of course. He would love to share more information that can help us, guide us through this process better. He's highlighting the word meaning. Meaning and purpose are essentially the goal, is to find meaning and purpose in everything that you do, and every choice, decision, action, step forward, to have a meaning and purpose behind that. And he's highlighting the word intention. So an intentional purpose, setting your intentions and your sights on what it is you want to create, what it is you want to manifest, and the gifts you want to give to the world is essentially what you came to share, the experience that you came to share through your interaction and relationships with others, through in your individual and personal lives, but also your relationship to the collective, so humanity as a whole. So he's really highlighting that this shift is more about shifting out of the idea that we are separate from each other, that we are on our own path, and that our choices do not affect the lives of other people. We're moving from that limited perspective of consciousness to one that is more unity-based, where we are seeing, and he's saying, this is the Christ consciousness he was referring to earlier, where we are seeing our role and connection throughout all of the collective. So how we have the ability and the power to, through our own choices and actions, shift and impact the entire collective of humanity. So this is really also what it means to wake up or awaken to the fact that we are divine beings, that we are not just serving ourselves. We are here to serve others, to serve the collective, to raise the vibration of the entire collective. And that is what gives us purpose. That is essentially what gives us meaning, what helps us to, or drives us to make changes that are for the greater good. So the highest good of all is really the most important component of all of this, is that we as a collective are shifting out of a dark time where we felt separated and didn't understand our connection or relation, not only just to each other, but to Mother Earth. So this process of ascension is a remembering of our connection to each other, connection to the whole, he's saying. So we are one part serving the whole. And to always have that as our highest goal and mission is really all we need to move forward, to move out of these darker, more challenging times in our life, to see ourselves from this perspective is to see our purpose and greater purpose and reason for being here. Because if we are viewing ourselves as an important piece of the whole, as a necessary part, then we do have meaning. Our lives do have meaning. Our lives do have purpose. So he's referring back now to the stages of awakening, and I feel him kind of going into the stage of awakening that many call the dark night of the soul, which is the triggering event or initiation into a period of time where we feel lost and disconnected because the world has somehow lost meaning for us, or we have somehow lost our sense of self and who we are. And he's saying that this darker time is necessary for us to regain our power back. It's really an initiation process for us to go through the process of remembering our power or taking our power back. So moving from a state of victim conscious mode to a state of I am the power type mode, where it's like the I am presence, the I am love, I am the power that I seek, the change that I seek. So he's saying this is really the recognition of self. The process of recognizing yourself as a sovereign being is essentially what awakening is, moving from victimhood to a state of sovereignty. Reclaiming your sovereignty, he's saying. As a divine master, as a divine alchemist, and as someone who knows what is true and right for oneself and can make decisions using their discernment, following their intuition, to guide you, to show you the next step forward. So tuning your intuition is very important in this process of awakening, and essentially is the gift that was given to you from birth that will get you through it. So essentially, things might be happening around you or to you that feel very, give you a sense of disempowerment, make you feel like, what is going on? Do I have any control here? The ego will be struggling through those processes to gain a sense of control, but the ego doesn't have that sense. The ego falsely believes that it can control, he's saying, circumstances through its own thoughts. But the ego simply doesn't know what it doesn't know. It doesn't know what the heart knows, he's saying and clarifying. The heart knows the way, the heart knows the path, because the path is love. The way is love. That is the truth. That is the light. That is where we come from. So that is our home base. That is our place home. And that is also our way home. So the way of love. And this is essentially what Master Jesus taught while he was on earth. How to love, how to be love, and how to walk that path. So he's showing there's many layers to what it means to ascend, obviously, depending on the perspective that you're taking. But these understandings are all relevant to explaining a concept that is simply an experience versus like a presentation, is what he's saying. We can present this information to you, we can explain this process to you, he's saying, but it's through your own experience that you will understand this process, that you will gain clarity and meaning through this process by walking this process on your own. And he's showing that's essentially why we call this the Earth School, and why many of you came here at this time in particular, because you came to embody that light, to walk that light, to struggle in the physical, but also with the higher intention to embody that light, to bring that light, to shine that light so that others can learn how to embody that light. Because he's also showing as we increase, as our capacity to embody our light increases, so too does the capacity for others to do the same. So again, he's showing that when one person comes out of victimhood mode, comes out of the mode or outgrows the mode or way of thinking that they don't have control, that they are meant to suffer, that really lifts up all of humanity, because we are all connected, and that allows and holds space for more people to rise to that same realization. And he's showing this time, this is happening at an accelerated rate, and we can call on our guides to help us to accelerate this process if we wish, but to know that that's not necessary, because it's a process that happens organically and when the time is right for everyone. So he's also highlighting the importance not to judge people where they're at in their own process, but to accept them where they are at in their process, because that it is their gift to learn. It is their gift of experience to have. Only they can draw this conclusion for themselves. So pushing someone or judging someone only hurts yourself and hurts the collective. It does not empower others. It only brings them down. So again, he's showing that when you are on this path of ascension, you are aware. You essentially grow to become aware that every choice, every word, every action, every thought and belief and story that you tell yourself about your own self, your own life, and the lives of others is either limiting their perspective or helping them to broaden their view. So accepting people where they are at is really an art, he's saying, but it is what essentially allows them and gives them the freedom to choose what is right for them at any given moment. And this is essentially why, again, we came to Earth, to have the opportunity to live in a place where we have free will and we can experience whatever it is, whatever life lessons we choose to experience. And many of those life lessons come in the form of pain and suffering to teach us and show us the way back to love. So where there is dark, there is light, or without dark, there is no light. So essentially, we come to the dark to experience a different perspective of what it means to be light. So not having the light allows us to essentially grow our light. And have the experience of growing our light, which again, he's showing is the process of ascension. So I feel like he shared a lot in that so far, and I hope you're all following that. I'm going to just see if there's anything else he wants to add to that topic. He's saying just to understand the basics of the cycles of life, of the death rebirth process, of how we are essentially living to be reborn again, that in any given moment we are given the tools and the doorway to follow the light, to follow our truth, to make decisions that align with our higher selves, our heart, using our heart as a guide. He's saying in every moment there's an opportunity to grow and expand your love and your light. Find those moments, seek those moments, become a seeker of light. Become one who is aware at any moment in time where the direction of the light is wanting you to go, and continue to follow the light. And all will be good, you all will be safe, and you all will be fine, because the light is what's going to lead you home. And home in this sense is source. Home is your heart's connection to source, love, and all that is and ever will be. So, which is our connection to each other as well. So he's highlighting lifting up humanity. Remember that to be essentially your highest cause, your highest service in this process of ascension, is to always be thinking of ways to raise your own vibration and to help raise the vibration of others. And that is the key that will get you through any darker times you may find yourself in. So thank you to Serapis Bey for stepping forward and sharing that message with us today. If you do want to learn a little bit more about the stages of awakening and how they break down into more specific stages, and just what it's like and what it feels like to go through those stages, please check out the 13th episode of Divine Soul Awakening, which is a spiritual talk show. I'm one of the spiritual mediums on the show and panelists on the show. It goes live every week on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But this particular episode, episode 13, does describe the different stages of awakening, and then me and other panelists, we share our own experiences, breakthrough moments, lessons learned, and struggles as we are all learning together how to navigate these stages. So thank you again for watching today. If you found this video helpful in some way, please do be sure to like the video, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also hit the notification bell so you can be notified when new videos are released. Lately, I've been releasing around 1 to 2 videos every week. I also encourage you to share with us in the comments below what stage of awakening you might be going through, or how you might be learning to navigate through your own process of awakening, or even just how this message resonated for you. And yeah, so thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.